Hello, Ortonville. My name is Luke Morman. I'm looking at the neighborhood trail connection to the north of downtown. So some problems that I noticed were that the sidewalk connections were a little scattered. Some streets had sidewalks, some didn't. And there was a lot of lack of emphasis on the visual aesthetics throughout the town. So there's a lot of great views and everything, but I think it could be emphasized a little more. So here in orange, you can see my path loop goes around the town, around Central Park and the kind of gully in the middle. Some solutions I've thought of was the direct neighborhoods to the downtown amenities, or town amenities in general, so pushing people towards downtown and to the lake. Also, I'm going to be redesigning streetscapes for better pedestrian connectivity, character, and identity for the town. So here's my master plan of the trail connection. Now, every design that I'll be showing you are examples of interventions that can be completed throughout each zone. So here's Zone A, it's kind of typical neighborhood street, which I'll dive into shortly. Zone B is stretching to the hospital. Zone C is kind of an outskirt loop that goes around the town, connecting it all together. And then Zone D is through the school, bringing that all together. Zone A here is what specifically I'll be looking at. Zone B is this enlargement will be the intersection between C and B. Zone C will be looking at just a general intersection once again. Zone D will be looking at a place to emphasize for this area. So Zone A enlargement, first intersection I'll be looking at is the typical neighborhood, adding gathering space and exchanging a parking lane for a pedestrian and bicycle lane. So it'll be 4th Street and Pacific Ave is what I'm looking at specifically. You can see there's 2 lanes of parking and 2 moving vehicle lanes. I think this is my design and I think it would be enhanced a lot more. It'd add gathering spaces and seating with planting beds with a paver patio. Painted lane for pedestrian or bicycle travel will create a little safety and just circulation throughout the neighborhood, and a crosswalk for increased safety as well. Here's a street section of that intersection we just looked at. So you can see there's 4 lanes for only vehicles and no accommodation for pedestrians. Now here you can see the added gathering space, exchanging that lane of parking and adding planting beds and benches and plantings. So one material palette is the potted plants, kind of an example of giving character to these spaces. The benches will allow for rest within the gathering spaces. Planters and bollards can protect the pedestrian and bicycle lane. As you can see, and the planters could maybe be moved for the wintertime, and snow could pile up there for clearing it out during the winter. Specifically, it'll be, I was thinking, a 1-foot wide concrete edge will hold the pavers together really well. And then just aesthetically, I was thinking the basket weave pattern, as you can see in that image. You have 10 feet of gathering space, 2 feet of vegetation buffer, 24 feet for vehicles, 2 feet for another buffer for the bicycle lane, which is 5 feet. Now here's the next intersection, which is the intersection of Zone B and C, which is the intersection to the hospital going north. It'll connect the existing sidewalks and add additional safety. This is specifically Cliff Street and Stevens Ave. You can see there's existing pedestrian sidewalk, but it is also just ends going east to west at this point. And north to south, there is no buffer between the vehicles and the pedestrians, which is a little unsafe, or can be. Here's my design, similar pattern. Again, like enhancing this whole zone would just repeat this throughout different spots. Once again, like the Zone A intersection, be gathering spaces with seating and planting beds, crosswalks for increased safety, and a painted lane for pedestrian and bicycle travel. But in this one, we also add the boulevards, which will be the buffer between the cars and pedestrians, increasing the safety. And it can add aesthetic value with plantings and whatnot. Here's the existing section with the 4 lanes of vehicle traffic once again, and then the sidewalk, which is right next to the vehicles. Here I add the gathering space and vegetation buffers. I think that'll enhance the area very well. So here's a look at just some planting beds at the edges of gathering spaces to enclose the area. And the boulevard creates comfort for pedestrians in the sidewalk. It also generates a linear design going to the hospital. And here's the widths again. 10 feet is about the width of the gathering space, 2 feet buffer, 30 feet of vehicle travel, and then 5 feet another buffer, and then of the boulevard, and then the 6-foot sidewalk. Zone C is the loop through the outskirts of town. Here's the intersection I'll be looking at with a perspective. So specifically, it's Stevens Ave once again, and then Minnesota Street North. This one is going to be a painted lane and sidewalk converging and stretching from the school to the hospital. You can see the existing sidewalk, this goes right into the street and doesn't continue through it. There's vehicle travel only. So my design will add the aesthetic value of plantings and gathering space, once again, continuing that from the last couple designs you've seen. And then also pedestrian safety with crosswalks and the bollards. I think it'll create a great connection and civil just around the town and on the side of the street. So the only construction would just be painting these gathering spaces and adding the bollards. So the sidewalk connects to the bicycle and pedestrian lane. There would be wayfinding signage. It's just an idea of a design I had. And then comfortable gathering space with the buffer enclosing the area. Zone D is enhancing the school amenities. So this is the specific area I'll be looking at by the playground. It's 5th Street Northwest and Madison Avenue. Kind of curves around within this neighborhood. It'll give certain areas in Zone D, it'll enhance the certain aesthetic value to show importance of different areas. So specifically this area is showing the importance of this playground and open space by the school. So there's a open space blocked off by that fence existing, and then a popular playground that seems a little separated from public use. So mine would open it up and adding the patio once again, similar pattern, similar signage, opening the yard to the playground, having a welcome entry with enhancing it with plantings and the rocks you would see around Ortonville right now. Wayfinding signage once again, and then the gathering space. Thank you for your time.